All right, we're going to go over these application problems, and we're going to do the even problems. Okay? Number 2 says the perimeter of a triangle is shown is 47 centimeters. What is the value of x and what are the lengths of each side? What is perimeter? What does that mean? All the way around. But what do you do with all of this around it? Do you add, multiply, divide? Yeah, so we're going to add up all sides to find my perimeter. So what that means is I've got 7 plus this side is x plus the other side is 5x minus 2. And that equals my perimeter, which is 47. Okay? So I wrote my equation. Now I need to solve for x. So let me draw my line with an equal sign. I'm going to combine like terms. I'm going to put my x's together. So I get 6x. Then I have 7 minus 2. 7 minus 2 is 5 equals 47. Now this is the two-step equation that we've been doing, and we subtract 5 from each side. 6x equals 42. Divide by 6. X equals 7. All right, so first thing it said was to find the value of x. Then I have to find the lengths of all my sides. Okay, well, this side is just x. Oh, well, that's a 7. This side up here is 5 times x, so 5 times 7 minus 2. 5 times 7 is 35 minus 2. That side is 33. Now, one thing that somebody said to me before was, this side doesn't look like the same length, right? Doesn't this bottom one right here look bigger? And, okay, but in the pictures. And here's the thing that you're going to learn from geometry. You can't go off of what you just see. You have to look at the numbers, and those pictures are not going to be drawn to scale. Just like when we worked on parallel and perpendicular, some of you guys thought that when the two lines crossed, that they were perpendicular because it looked that way. Remember, the numbers have to prove that it is perpendicular. It can't just be what you think it is from the picture. Okay? That's one of the biggest things to remember and learn. Because actually, if you look at this triangle, and I have 33, 7, and 7, even though it's drawn all screwed up, these two sides are the same, right? That's an isosceles triangle. Just throwing at you some geometry. All right. All right, let me go through here. All right, here we go. Number 4. Here's another type of application of solving equations that you're going to use over and over in geometry. Okay, the more I tutor geometry students, the more I see how important the equations are and being able to solve. That is one of the reasons why I've been nagging you guys about solving equations. You will struggle in geometry if you're not able to do this stuff well. Okay? It says the line segment AD. So A to D is 28. And it wants us to find the measure of all these other little ones like AB, BC, and CD. So basically, if you add them all up, so if I take AB plus BC plus CD, right, each one of these segments, it should equal that whole big segment. Oops, not CD, AD. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take 8 minus x plus 2x plus 3 plus 3x plus 5, and I'm going to set it equal to 28. Okay? Now, I know there's not a whole lot of room on these papers when they're all scrunched together. If you need to write it on a separate sheet of paper, that's fine as well. So now, I've got my equal to bar. I'm going to put my x's together. I have 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 minus 1, 4x. And then I have my numbers. 8 plus 3 is 11 plus 5. What is it? 16. Honestly, instead of writing it all out, if I knew what I was doing was adding them all up, I would actually go through here and just look, instead of rewriting it, I would do it just from my picture. 3 plus 2 plus, minus 1 to get the 4x. Do you see what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't write it all out in one big equation unless the problem asked me for the equation. Now we solve, and we subtract 16 from each side. I get 4x equals 12. Divide by 4. X equals 3. Okay. So now you've got to go back up here and you've got to find each one of the segments. This one says 8 minus x. What's x? 3. What's 8 minus 3? 5. So AB is 5. Okay? BC, it says 2 times x. So 2 times 3 plus 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. So BC is 9. So this one, 3 times 3 plus 5. That's 9 plus 5 is 14. To double check yourself and make sure you did it right, take these three numbers and what should it equal? 28. And so just make sure that you've done it right. That's how you can check and make sure. All right, let's go to number 6. Number 6 says the perimeter of a square shown is 40 meters. What is the value of x and what is the length of each side? Okay, that's what I was going to ask. So the length of in the square, all the sides are the same, right? So that means all of them are 3x plus 4. Now, you see what I'm doing? I'm marking each line with those, each side with those little lines. That means it's congruent. It means that each side is the same length. Now, you could do this a couple different ways. You could go through and label each side 3x plus 4. Hold on a second before you write anything. You could do, oops, looks like a negative. That's not what I mean. You could do all this and then add up your x's and add up your numbers. You could do it this way, or you could go 4 times 3x plus 4. Why can I do this? Right here with the parentheses. Because all the sides are the same, right? And how many sides are there on the square? There's 4. So you could do it this way if you wanted and set it equal to 40. You could solve it this way. Or you could go through, and for me, I go 3, 6, 9, 12. I just add up 12x. Well, heck, that's what you get right here. 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 16 equals 40. And so what I'm saying is, like, you could write it with the parentheses. I normally look at my picture and add it all up from the picture, but either way is fine. Okay? So now if I go to solve this, I subtract 16 from each side. I get 12x equals 24. Divide by 12. X equals 2. It said what was the value of x, so you had to find that. Now the length of each side, the side is 3x plus 4. So I have 3 times 2 plus 4. 6 plus 4 is 10. Let me ask you a question. That's what I was going to say. So wait. Another way, because some people say, well, why couldn't I just go, I know that the perimeter is 40 and all the sides are the same. How come I just can't do 40 divided by 4 and get 10 for the length of the side? You could have. That's another way to attack this problem. If you did that, that gave you the length of the side. But now what do you do to find x? Well, to find x, you could do it like this, or couldn't you take the length of the side, 3x plus 4, and set it equal to 10? Won't that give you 2 as well? Right? So you could do it either way. And see, here's my thing. When I go through and grade and look at what you're doing, if you don't solve it the same way I do, it doesn't mean it's wrong. I need to look and see, how did you solve it? What did you do? Can I follow your steps? That's one of the reasons why. Remember, I'm telling you on the equations, I'm not, yes, I want you to get the right answer, but I need to follow your steps, because if I can follow your thought process, then I can still give you credit for everything you're doing, because one way in math, it's not just one way to solve something. Okay? Number 8. Maybe. All right. John runs a mile 3 minutes slower than Mike. If John ran 6 miles in 1 hour, 6 minutes, whoa. If John ran 6 miles in 1 hour, 6 minutes, then how fast does Mike run a mile? Huh?
If he ran 6 miles in 1 hour and 6 minutes, he ran it in 1 hour and 6 minutes.
You think it's saying 1 hour and 6 minutes?
No. To run 6 miles.
Okay, so if John ran 6 miles in 1 hour and 6 minutes. Okay, wait, let's figure out. All right. Let me look at this. See, you have all these questions, and here's one thing I taught my son when he was in the younger grades. They used to do this thing. I don't know if y'all remember. It was the big Q. When you had to do the big Q, and they always wanted you to do the first step, second step, third step. When it would have been about when you guys were in 3rd and 4th grade. I used to go back, and I used to say, my son could look through and find the answer, and then we'd have to fill in the other parts and work backwards. Because like I told you, it doesn't always work the same steps all the time. So let's look at this. It says John ran 6 miles in 1 minute, or 1 hour, sorry, gosh, and 6 minutes. So I want to find out how fast John ran. Just one mile. Okay? So, well, let's change the hours and minutes. Let's change this into all minutes. 1 hour is 60 minutes, right? Plus an extra 6. So he's running 6 miles in 66 minutes. Yeah, so let's see. If I took 66 divided by 6, it's taking him 11 minutes to run 1 mile. Don't be saying it's slow. I probably wouldn't even run that fast. Just kidding. Okay. Okay, so John runs 1 mile. You know, maybe he has a sprained ankle and has a limp. Be nice to this old man. All right. And he runs it in 11 minutes. Okay. All right. So let's go back. Erase all this. So now John runs a mile 3 minutes slower than Mike. John runs a mile 3 minutes slower than Mike. Didn't we just find out, John?
This question doesn't make sense.
Okay, well, no, wait. John runs 3 minutes slower than Mike. How long does it take Mike to run? Who runs faster, John or Mike? Mike does. John is 3 minutes slower. So how fast does Mike run?
8-minute mile.
An 8-minute mile. Okay? Now we're having a debate about how fast we all run miles. Okay. Maybe that we can just test that later. All right, so Mike runs a mile in 8 minutes. Now, the equation, I don't even know what I did here. Okay, so I'm thinking the equation. All right, I don't know. Let's see, the equation. I'm having a brain fart today.
What is the original cost?
3 minutes slower than Mike. I don't know why I'm like losing my brain today. Okay. Maybe a zombie ate it. All right, let's see. Well, I was reading the question. But I'm trying to find the equation.
Bullshit.
John runs a mile 3 minutes slower than Mike. Wait a minute, I got it. Do we know how fast Mike runs?
Yeah, he runs 8-minute mile.
Well, did we originally? No. So X is got to be Mike's time. So now my equation. Whatever Mike runs, John runs it 3 minutes slower. So you take what Mike runs and
Oh, this is what we did. Yeah, this was yesterday.
Great
We
with a
did
whole
this
lot.
yesterday.
but we got to add 3 to it. And John runs 66. His is 66 minutes. But I messed something up. What's happening? Okay, wait. I got it. Hold on. No, it's not X. It's not X.
Because then what we did yesterday was like the 3 minutes slower than Mike, where we put like the underline slower than or less than, and then made the little arrow to the
Oh,
right.
yeah, to the end.
Okay, the arrow to the end and stuff. But look, John is what. All we know is we've got 6.
Yeah, she was like, I don't even care.
I totally heard you and listened to you.
No, you didn't. You were going like this. Yeah.
6. I know. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. 6x minus 3 is 66. That can't be right.
Oh my goodness.
It's x minus 3 equals 66.
It can't be x minus 3 equals 66. No, because when you add this,
What's the equation?
We know X minus
Okay,
3 is
so
different.
if
I know it's got to be.
Mike's time.
We don't know Mike's time.
That's
Well,
why
if
it's
it's
X.
3 minutes slower than Mike.
Or what if it was negative x?
Wait, we do know Mike's time. Mike's time is 8 minutes.
Okay, we know Mike's time is 8 minutes because we went through a different way and solved it. So now how do we write the equation? Now I want you to know, anybody watching the video right now is going to totally be laughing like, what the heck is going on?
Or how about x
know,
plus
it
3
doesn't make
equals negative 66?
X plus 3 equals negative 60. That still doesn't work. The problem is you have to have the 6 miles. That 6 has to be in front of.
X plus 6 equals minus 3.
Can we just skip it like I
Runs a
did?
mile. John runs a mile 3 minutes slower than Mike. If y'all weren't yelling at me, I could think.
You're yelling at us and yourself. 'Cause you're like,
Okay, time out. I'm laughing. Hold on. We voted, and we're moving on from this situation. We know the answer. We'll come back and fill it in somewhere else. Stop. I do know the answer. The answer is right here. Mike is 8 minutes, and John is 11
but
minutes.
the equation is he's 8 minutes.
It's got to have something. Okay, so fine. Let's think about this. It's got to have something to do with the fact that he ran 6 miles
It doesn't.
in 66 minutes. Yes, it does.
So divide 6 by. No.
Scarford, how can you not figure out the answer to
Wait,
your own
divide
problem?
66 by 8. No, divide 66 by 8.
No, because that's 11. It's talking about he ran. Think about it. I mean, it's a direct variation. If you run 6,
So the whole problem is we're solving for what John's time is. That's the whole equation.
no, we want Mike's time.
Well, we are because we already solved it and we've done it like 15 minutes ago. Okay, so what is the equation for this situation? Okay.
Okay, fine. My equation is this. I found John's time, and then I subtracted 3 from John's time. That's my equation. That's what I did.
Now, if we were right now on star, we'd all fail. So
No, the good thing about STAR is you circle an answer and you move on. You don't have to have this, or you have this conversation with the multiple personalities in your head, and that could happen too. Moving right along. Okay. Yay. All right, that was like 10 minutes of the video. All right.
this is great.
Elio, is that really Elio? Elio earns $2 per hour more than Ted. They work more. They each work 5 hours, earning a total of $65 between them. What is each person's pay rate? Let T equals Ted's earning. Okay. So for 5 hours, you're going to take 5 hours times Ted No, we are not going again. We're doing this better. Now stop grinning at me, okay? We're doing 5 hours times Ted's rate. Now, Elio works 5 hours, but he earns $2 more than Ted. So you're going to take Ted's earning plus 2. I know this one. Stop giggling. Oh, wait, you know what? It says the earning rate. Stop laughing at me. Okay. Everybody's bothering me. Hold on, videos. Just a second. All right. My friends need to stop laughing at me. And what I do know is that my expression for Ted's earning is 5 hours times Ted's earning rate. Letter B says what expression represents Elio's earning rate. Ted earns T. That's how much he earns per hour. Elio gets $2 more. Okay, so you take Ted's plus 2. Okay, so for example, if Ted earned $5 an hour, Elio's going to earn 7. So now it says what expression would represent Elio's earning for 5 hours? You're going to take 5 times T plus 2. T for 2 and 2 for T. Okay, anyway, back to this. Write an equation that shows their combined earnings. Now listen, it's saying that they earn a total of $65. So what you're going to do is you're going to take Ted's, which is 5T, plus Elio's, which is 5 times T plus 2, and that equals 65. You asked how much he earns per hour. We're going to find that out. So now to go and solve it, I have 5T, 5 times T, 5 times 2. So I have, again, plus 5T plus 10 equals 65. Now, we put together our T's. My friends are not being nice today. 10T plus 10 equals 65. Subtract 10 from each side. 10T equals 55. Divide by 10. What is Ted's earning? What's 55 divided by 10? It is 5.5. You better stop videotaping me. I know exactly what you're doing, Raphael. So now Ted earns $5.50 per hour. How much does Elio earn? It is 5.5 plus 2. I'm about to get angry with my friends. 5.5 plus 2, which is 7.5. Okay? So now we found Ted and Elio's earnings. We still don't know the equation to number 8. I got that. Okay, whatever. All right. Here we go. Number 12. We'll look at number 12, and in the word of the problem, what is different from the other ones?
It's a rectangle.
No. What's in parentheses?
In terms of X.
In terms of X. This is going to tell me that my answer, you're going to miss this on the test. It's going to tell you that your answer is an expression, meaning that all we're going to do is put the X's together and the numbers together. Okay, there's no equal sign because it doesn't tell us what the perimeter equals. So when I'm trying to find the perimeter, I know that I have 42 minus X on the opposite side. Raphael just wanted in his own video. And then 4X on the other side. Okay. So now the expression for the perimeter, we add up all the sides, and I get 4X plus 4X, 8X, minus X, and minus X. So that's 8 minus 2. So I get 6X. Now, I add up my numbers, and I have 42 and 42, which is positive 84. Look, this is my answer because it says in terms of x. You're going to have to read the problems and make sure you know the difference. It's not telling you to solve it for a certain, because it's not telling you what the perimeter actually is. Now, on the next problem, watch though. Yes, dear.
Okay, so I don't. Why is there like two different types of things on this paper? Like we're solving it and now we're not solving it.
No. Well, the question was, why are there two different things on the same paper? Because sometimes you're simplifying and sometimes you're solving. It all goes into solving equations. Okay? So now, but look at the difference on 14. On 14, what's in the problem? It tells you the perimeter of the rectangle is. It tells you what the perimeter is. So now when we go to find it, our answer is actually going to be a number because it told us what the perimeter is. So what I'm going to have is, I have 7x and 7x is 14, minus 5 and minus 5. That gives me 4x. And then I have, this is number 14. And then I have
Too much work.
negative 3, minus 3 is negative 6, negative 6. I've got 4 and 4, which is 8. And if I put that together, it's plus 2. That equals 46. Oops, I can't even write here. That equals 46. Now we can solve for x. Okay, so from here, I'm going to draw my line for, oh, hey, that was way crooked. There we go. Draw my line for the equals, and I'm going to subtract 2 from each side. I get 4x equals 44. I'm going to divide by 4. And I get x equals 11. Okay, now that's not my answer. I have to go back into my original rectangle and I have to substitute to find my length and width. I'm just going to erase all this so that it's not as, so it's a little bit easier to see. It says x is 11. So I have 7 times 11 minus 3. 7 times 11 is 77. 77 minus 3, 74. Now, it doesn't really matter which one you choose to be length or width. You just have to put them in one of them. It doesn't matter. So I'll put 74. Now, on this next one right here, it says 4 minus 5 times x. X is 11. So here I've got 4 minus 55. And here, because I'm looking at this all kind of crazy, because that would be negative 49. So we need to go back through and figure out, did we really do this right? Or is this just a bad problem? Why am I looking at this confused? Because you can't have a what? A negative width or length, right? Does it make sense if I tell you to make something that's negative 49 feet long? That doesn't make sense. But maybe it was just a bad problem when they put it in here, because I know that my perimeter is 46. And if I add up my sides, 7 and 7 is 14. Minus 10, so that is 4x. And then I have 8 minus 6, which is 2. Okay, so it's really a bad problem because it's not reasonable because you can't have a negative length. Now, that's what the math is telling us, okay? But when they came up with this, worksheet, this perimeter would have to be a whole lot more because that's not reasonable. All right, number 16. A toy company spends $1,500 each day on plant costs plus $8 per toy for labor and materials. They sell each toy for $12 each. How many toys must a company sell in one day to equal their daily costs? Okay, when you talk about plant costs. You're talking about paying for water, electricity, maybe wages. And it's saying that it costs $1,500 plus $8 for every toy. So X is going to equal the number of toys. That's just the cost to make each one. Then I'm setting it equal to how much they sell each toy for. They sell the toys for $12 each. And why I'm setting it equal to each other is because I'm looking to see when they break even. Where do you make the amount of money that will, when you sell enough to cover how much it costs? So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to move my x's to one side. So I'm going to subtract 8x from each side. I get 1,500 equals 4x. And I'm going to divide by 4. And x equals. Now, when I take 1,500 divided by 4, what do I get? Gotta help me out. I don't want to pull up my calculator. 375. So that means that I need to sell 375 toys each day to cover my cost. See, because right here, this is your break-even point. Now, any toys you sell over that, that's going to make a profit for you. All right. Number 18. A worm begins slithering to an elm tree, or from an elm tree to an oak tree, at a rate of 13 meters per hour. Okay, 13 meters per hour. At the same time, a snail begins creeping from the oak tree towards the elm at a rate of 17 meters per hour. The trees are 100 meters apart. Let x equal the number of hours moving. When will the worm and the snail meet? At what time? At that time, how far are they from the elm tree and from the oak tree? Okay, so they said x equals the number of hours it's moving. So I've got the worm. That one's moving 13 meters per hour. So x is the number of hours. The snail is moving at 17 meters per hour. And the tree is 100 meters apart. So let's see, I've got an elm tree. I don't know what it looks like. I'll just make this an elm. I know my artistic skills are amazing. And then I got an oak tree. Now, they're 100 meters apart. And let's see, it says the worm's going from the elm. So this is the worm going this way. And the snail is going the other way. Now, how in the world do we set up this equation? How are we going to figure out when they meet each other? Any ideas? 100 divided by 2x, but why are you saying that? Because are you assuming they're going to meet in the middle? They're not going to meet in the middle because one's going faster than the other. Okay, so that's when we got to figure out, okay, so what's going on? Eventually, these two things, the worm and the snail, they meet up with each other. Okay? Eventually, the worm and the snail, they meet up with each other. It's just somewhere in here and we don't know. But what I do know is when they do meet, when they do come together, they've covered a total of 100 feet. Right? Because as they're moving and they meet up somewhere, they're going to cover the total 100 from each side. So I've got the worm, which is 13x, plus the snail, 17x, and that equals 100. Now, as I go to solve this, 13 and 17 is 29x equals 100. I'm going to divide by 29. Now, I don't think this shouldn't come out nicely. This should be a decimal. So what's 100 divided by 29? Help me out. 3.44. And is a decimal a reasonable number when you're talking about your distance? Or actually, X is the hours. Can you have 3.44 of an hour? You sure can. You can meet. I mean, we got to go through. Time is continuous, right? And you have to go through all the seconds to get there. So now, let's see. The snail is 13 times 3.44. So that's 13 meters times 3.44 hours. So how far is the snail? Or that's the worm. Sorry, the worm. What's 13 times 3.44? 44.72 meters. Now, the snail is 17 times 3.44. When you multiply that, what do you get? 58 point what? 0.48? Think that's okay. So you know why I'm confused? Because what do these two things have to do? They have to meet. Well, they have to add up to make 100 when they meet. So now I'm confused on where the mistake could have been. Because let's see if I pull up. And you said it equals 103.2. It could be a rounding error because of, when you have decimals and stuff like that. So I had 100 divided by 29. Oh, okay. So it's 3.44827 or whatever. And so it's not working out exactly because you would have to use this exact number right here. So let me think. If I did math, enter. I guess the only way to find it out exactly, let's see, how would this work? Maybe. I don't think this would change the answer though. 13 times 100 divided by 29. 44.82. 17 times 100 divided by 29. 58.62. It would go over, so they're going to meet. And this, because the numbers don't work out neatly and nicely. Yes, ma'am. See, maybe that'll make my difference. All right, so let's go back. I'm telling you, it's one of those days after Halloween trying to put everything together. We did have 13x plus 17x equals 100. So yeah, actually 17 and 13, that should be 30x equals 100. So does that make a difference? Does that make it nicer? Because I think it'll still be a decimal though. 3.333 repeating, is that right? So that's 3 1/3, which is the same as 10 over 3. So let's try and use the right numbers this time. Ms. Crawford's having issues today. Okay, so what about, let's see if this works or makes it better. So if I go and pull up the calculator this time, what about 13 times 10 divided by 3? So I have 43 and a third. 43 and 1/3. And the snail has 17 times 10 divided by 3, which gives me 56 and 2/3. Now that makes a whole lot more sense, because guess what? When you add these together, what's 1/3 and 2/3? That's a whole, right? So I've got a 0 and a 1, and that equals 100. Woo! Makes much more sense. I feel much better now. Okay, so, but then it says, when will the snails meet? They're going to meet at 3 1/3 hours. So they're going to meet at 3 1/3 hours. Now, think about that. What is 1/3 of an hour? Well, I think I heard it. It's what? 20 minutes. 1/3 of an hour is 20 minutes. So they're going to meet at 3 hours and 20 minutes. The next part of the question asks you, at what time, or let's see, at that time, how far from the elm tree are they? Well, the worm is coming from the elm tree, and they are 43 1/3 meters from the elm tree. Okay? And then the snail, they are 56 2/3 meters away from the oak tree. All right, makes much more sense when I go through and add it back together and equals 100. Look at number 20. Number 20 says f of -3 equals x plus 12. You're going to see this notation. It's function notation. This is, a lot of times when you see this, that means f of x. It's a function of x. F of x is the same as y equals. Now, what this is telling you to do, f of x, this is where x is. They're telling you to put this in here for x. So I've got f of -3 equals. So I'm going to put -3 in there for x. So I'm going to write -3 plus 12. They are going to use that function notation on your STAR test. So now I have f of -3 equals 9. So your answer is 9. Now, you can also use the calculator to find your answer. If you go into the calculator and put into y equals x plus 12, and you press second graph, it's saying when x is -3, what is y? X is -3, y is 9. So you could look in the calculator and you would be able to find your answer that way as well. Okay, so what about 22? It tells you the same type of thing. It tells you f of 2 equals 1/2 x minus 3. So one way you could go in there in the calculator and put it in there that when x is 2, what is y? You would put 1/2 x minus 3 in there. The other way to do it by hand is to take the 2 and put it in there for the x, where I get 1/2 times 2 minus 3. Well, if I did it by hand, what's half of 2? Half of $2 is what? 1. 1 minus 2. Well, not 1 minus 2. I was moving ahead. 1 minus 3 gives me -2. So let's see if that does work when I go in the calculator. I go into y equals, and I'm going to put in there 1/2 second graph. I'm going to look and see where x is 2. What is y? -2. That means I got it right. Now, look at this. If I put, look at these two. I'm going to put, okay, look at these two things on each side of this. What is the difference between the left and the right? Side A and side B. Okay, so on B, this over here is an equation. A is an expression. Our answers should be different because on the equation, you're looking to find one answer. On the left-hand side, if I asked you to solve this, we would put our x's together. What is 7x plus 3x? 10x. Then I have -5 plus 4. That's -1. This is my answer. The expression, all you can do is combine like terms. On the equation, we have to do the solving. See, the left-hand side would be exactly what we just did. I would have 10x minus 1, and it equals 3. So look, because when I simplified, the left-hand side is exactly the same. Now I go to solve, and I add 1 to each side. I didn't pick a very good number, but that's okay. 10x equals 4. Divide by 10. X equals 4 divided by 10. When you divide that, it will come up as 0.4. Okay, or if you simplified it, it could be 2/5. Okay? Look at the difference. Expression. It doesn't have an equal sign anywhere in it. And some of you guys on the quiz and stuff, you are doing that. You need to make sure you know the difference between simplifying and equations.